anti-abortion legislators in 47 states focused on legislating hurt and harm to push this critical health care out of reach. These misguided bans will not actually prevent all abortions. They simply put safe and necessary abortion care out of reach for our most vulnerable, specifically our lowest income sisters, our queer, trans, and non-binary siblings, Black, Latinx, AAPI, immigrants, disabled, and indigenous folks. And none of this is happenstance. It is precise. Like the roots of the anti-abortion movement, these bans are rooted in patriarchy and white supremacy.
This is an issue I've been wanting to touch on for quite a while now. Now that I have the motivation to do it, and it's this whole stigma of patriarchy. It seems as though society, especially modern American society, has brainwashed people into believing that patriarchy is a cancer, that is dangerous, and that's something that we need to shun. Patriarchy that is being defined by modern Western society is a liberal concept into trying to persuade you to remove yourself from a traditional way of belief or a traditional way of living. As a brother who has traveled to multiple countries across the planet, as a brother who has been to Asia, who has been to the so-called Middle East, who has been to a couple of countries in Africa, I can tell you straight up, patriarchal societies are no way depicted on how the liberal-minded numbnuts of this society want you to look at patriarchy to be defined. Let's look at the Western Hemisphere, for example. Go to Brazil. If you watch the brother Al Freeze's documentary, Frustrated Part 1, where they focus on Brazil, you will see how the women in that country are treated and how they are widely viewed and how well respected they are, as opposed to American society, which, especially amongst black folk, which is ran primarily by a matriarchal power structure. In Brazil, the women hold the men in great regard. They hold them in high esteem. Why do the women in Brazil view the men in such regard? The women in Brazil view the men in such high regard because the men in Brazil, the majority, they are productive men that center around producing and providing for the family. So you have a man in the household who's the dominant figure, who's the authority, who's the provider, who's the protector, who's the builder, who's the money maker, who's the man that gives guidance, discipline, and instruction. And the women greatly benefit from it because you have the women in that country that look at the men with such dignity and respect. The women are treated with dignity and respect because the men view themselves in a respectable fashion. And plus, you try to hurt or harm those sisters down there in Brazil, those men will kill you without hesitation. In many Muslim countries, particularly in the Middle East and Africa, those societies are ran predominantly by patriarchal structure.
In what sense is our society male-dominated?
The fact that the vast majority of wealth is owned by men, the vast majority of capital is owned by men. Women do more unpaid labour.
A very tiny proportion of men and a huge proportion of people who are seriously disaffected are men. Most people in prison are men. Most people who are on the street are men. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who commit suicide are men. Most people who die in wars are men. People who do worse in school are men. It's like, where's the dominance here precisely? What you're doing is you're taking a tiny substrata of hyper-successful men and using that to represent the entire structure of Western society. There's nothing about that that's...
Women in Saudi Arabia, they're allowed to vote. They're allowed to walk around and do the things that they need to do. But are they getting beaten? Are they getting attacked? Are they getting kidnapped? Are they being raped? The answer is no. Now, you're going to have certain instances where those things do happen. But by at large, the women in places like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Sudan, Iran, Ethiopia, Somalia, and so forth and so on, those women are guarded and protected. Why are they guarded and protected? They are guarded and protected because in a patriarchal society, it is the man's sole responsibility to ensure that the women, the children, and the elderly are taken care of and not only provided for, not only protected, but they have the best interests at heart. And thus these women in these societies have a much stronger rapport with their men than here in this Western society, where these women are so-called independent. Anytime I hear sisters talking about protect black women, I ask them, where's your man? Oh, I ain't got one, I'm single. Then you don't deserve any protection. Even if you're single being by yourself, you go to a weapons training class. Who are you getting your training and instruction from? Vast majority of cases, you're getting it from a man. You go to a self-defense training class. You're getting those instructions from a man. So for any woman, especially our sisters, to say that they don't need no man, you're disrespecting yourself for one. You're disrespecting God for two. And you're totally dishonoring me for three. Because if you take away everything that men have built and created, your existence will be in decline very quickly. But I digress. These things that I just mentioned, self-defense training, weapons training, you're going to have that in patriarchal-led societies and patriarchal-led households as well. If I had a wife and my son lived with me, everybody in my household going to follow my direction. They're going to follow my lead. The final decisions in the household and things that are related to the family, I'm going to have the ultimate decision. But guess what? My woman, my children, and anybody in my family is going to have a strong say-so that will result in me making the ultimate decision on what's best for the family. Want to know why? Because in any patriarchal-led household, under my direction, under my leadership, I'm Michael Jordan. Everybody underneath me is Scottie Pippen. But guess what? They play such a pivotal and vital role in the progress and success of that family as I do.
The reason they're trying to bring out emotionality in you is because of exactly what Myron said. Most of the time you don't feel like doing the things you're supposed to do. But the true masculine frame throughout history was doing the things they didn't want to do, but they knew they had to do because they had honor and duty. That's what honor and duty means. Do you think the men on the Titanic wanted to stay on the fucking Titanic? No, we're men. We have to stay. We're scared, but we must. It's our duty to let the women and children on the lifeboats. Yeah. This is masculine duty.
True basis and meaning of what patriarchy truly means. You think the man just make all of these decisions? No. As a brother who's been deployed to both Iraq and Afghanistan, I can honestly tell I have been in Iraqi and Afghan households, even Kuwaiti households. I have been in these households where the men, they were the authoritative figure. However, a large amount of their decisions came from the advice and wisdom of their women. This is why many Western people frown at the concept of patriarchy. You mean to tell me y'all women out here, y'all looking for a man, you want a man to do this, that, and the third, and that man is supposed to just be a lapdog? That man is just supposed to do what you say, and he has no say-so in it whatsoever? You meaning to tell me that you want the man to buy you this, give you this, do this for you, and that man is not supposed to receive anything in return? Are you meaning to tell me that you can be pseudo-masculine? Because there's no such thing as masculine women. Let's stop there. Pseudo-masculine. Only reason why they're pseudo-masculine is because more and more of these men in this society are becoming feminine. And is that present in a patriarchy? Hell no. The reason why it's not present in a patriarchy is because when you have a strong and dominant man in the home, when your society is led by strong and powerful men, they train and raise men to be strong and powerful men for the next generation.
This is a trope that people just accept. Western society is a male-dominated patriarchy. It's like, no, it's not. That's not true. And even if it has a patriarchal structure to some degree, the fundamental basis of that structure is not power, it's competence. That's why our society works. It's only when a structure degenerates into tyranny that the fundamental relationships between people become dependent on power. It's not power.
Think about the message. Not only just these women, but many of you beta male simp mangina feminine bastards are sending to the future of our people, to the future of our children. The so-called black community has been a failure now for years. And the reason why it's been a failure is because when you remove the head of the family, when you remove the strong, the powerful, positive, and productive man, not only from the home, not only from the family, not only from the community, but from the overall black nation, the results you're seeing, that you see on the news every day, that you see in the streets every day, that you see all over the internet every day, that you were seeing all over these reality TV shows and on Maury, before that Jerry Springer. These are the results you get when you want matriarchy to be led amongst your people. When you have patriarchy, you're going to have a beautiful and sustaining nation like Brazil. You're going to have a strong, viable, dominant nation like Saudi Arabia. Even in Ghana is a patriarchal society, even though they're becoming more Western now. But the men still lead in areas of politics, government, finance, infrastructure, industries, so forth and so on. And the man is still respected in the family. Many countries in Africa are like that. So when our people say that our ancestors were raised in a matriarchal structure, that's bullshit. Go to one country in Africa where that's prevalent, and I will show you a tribe, nation, community, or society that has either crumbled or is on the verge of destruction. So in conclusion, the Western concept of patriarchy is delusional at best, because the liberal-minded numbnuts, they'll tell you patriarchy is bad. Here's the issue. They only look at it as bad because these are the rebellious children of these white liberal households. They didn't like their daddy telling them what to do. They didn't like the rules they daddy placed upon them, so they rebelled. Now they out here and these motherfuckers all wild and sicko in the mind. These are your numbnuts that be leading Black Lives Matter and all these other integrationist groups that cause chaos and anarchy. They do not have a solution. They do not have no long-term goals. It's like they'll march and protest, but they won't tell you how to fix the problem. Why? Because they're not interested in fixing the problem. And the crazy thing about it, they come primarily from a patriarchal society. White society in America is mainly a patriarchal society. But you just got these liberals out here that are protesting against it. Why? Because they don't want to be told what to do. African people, we can't afford that. You need patriarchy, whether you like it or not. After all, you keep crying where the men at. You keep crying why the black man ain't protecting the black woman. Well, guess what? In a patriarchal-led society, protection and provision is a privilege, not a luxury. It is not a given. Because with protection and provision under true patriarchy, there's a man that is instilled with proper guidance, understanding, and authority. And that is why y'all frown on patriarchy. Because you don't respect authority. Why? You ain't got no authority amongst yourself. Hope this serves as a lesson as to why I will never follow the matriarchal structure of any society or any concept that involves matriarchy being at the top. Patriarchy is the head. The matriarchal structure is the body. That's why we love the black woman's physical attributes so much. But guess what? The black woman truly loves and respects the black man's mind, wisdom, intellect, and true power and strength. Because that is what patriarchy produces. Peace and love. 100.
also have an innate desire, one, for conquest, and two, we have a biological response. We are very predispositioned to anger. I'm saying that you need to understand as a man, there are certain principles under which you act, regardless of how you feel.
Bam.
I can wake up sad, I can ache, I can have a busy day, stressed, etc. I will complete the same tasks as if I woke up in a fantastic mood. I'll do the same things because how I feel has no bearing on the things I'm going to do in my day because I have duty to myself and to my bloodline. We act. We're men of action. We get things done. So the world got built. All of it. All the men who built the fucking skyscrapers felt scared that did it anyway. You need to become a man of action. Stop worrying about how you feel and start worrying about what you're supposed to be doing.